include upgrades to our city hall. If we're not awarded the grant, there's no cost to the city, as I understand, right, Zane?
No cost, and if we are awarded the $250,000 that'll cover the cost of the windows and the new HVAC system.
Council good with this?
Yes.
Yes.
Next is another special event application received, Support Trump and a Blue Rally. Questions?
I'll sponsor that one.
Sean,
I'll sponsor it. Yes, Madam President.
any other questions?
Can I ask a question on that, Madam President?
Yes.
So I'm sorry, and for number 5, who is sponsoring that?
Sean,
Thank you.
you have a question from Dawn.
So will this require a certificate of liability insurance?
Mr. Clerk, would this resolution require a certificate of liability insurance?
It's up to the council if they want to ask for one, they can.
Thoughts?
So if we don't request this, and let's say somebody gets injured, the city can be held accountable for damages?
That would be illegal. That would be a question for Mr. Rua.
Mr. Rua?
Yes.
So we have a question on Resolution 5, which is the Support Trump and Blue Rally.
Yes.
The question from Councilwoman Cameron was, can the council request a certificate of liability insurance? And if one isn't requested, who would be responsible for any subsequent damages if there were any? That's
Well,
your question.
the party running the rally would always be responsible for damages. We just might have to sue them if we didn't have a certificate of insurance. It's easier to get reimbursed if there's an insurance company involved and we're listed as an additional insurer. Then we just make a claim as opposed to suing and getting a judgment and then collecting our judgment. So a certificate of insurance is always a good thing to have.
Thoughts?
Just as an additional question, with other rallies that don't go through the process of doing a special event and that are allowed to assemble and do that, they don't have a requirement to have a liability, but is there any additional liability on their part or on the part of the city with other protests and rallies that have come through here without doing a special event?
The other special event, the other Black Lives Matter rallies or protests did not do a special event. They just organized it on their own.
The correct procedure would be to file for a special event permit.
Right. But with or without the permit and a certificate of liability coming into play, I mean, is there any less or more liability on the city without going through the proper procedures and without having a certificate of liability? I guess that's my question.
Well, there's not any more liability, it's just that without going through the proper proceedings, we could stop the event.
Gotcha.
We didn't authorize the event, so we could break it up, prevent it from occurring, because they didn't follow the proper procedures. But as far as liability, it's the same whether they have a permit or not. If they do damage, we can go after them, it's just how we do it.
Mr. Rua, would it be your recommendation that this resolution be amended to include a certificate of liability insurance?
I don't know exactly what they're planning to do. Just a rally, I mean, what type of event is going to be, what are they going to have there, you know? I don't know. Are they having a band, are they serving food, or are they have a rally and have some speeches?
Mr. Clerk, can you pull the permit application?
Sure. According to the permit, it's just a support rally for President Troop and the police department. There's going to be peacefully gathering with signs, and they will not be impeding traffic because they're going to be at the closed section near the hub.
Probably a certificate of insurance is not necessary.
Okay, thank you for your recommendation.
Thank you.
any other questions or comments? All right. I would like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel of a particular person. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, President.
Second by Mr. Mylum. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so, Jim, we are in executive session. What we're going to do, just for everybody in the gallery, we're going to go into the, our little caucus room.
Okay, I'm gonna still stop the recording and put everyone in the waiting room.
At 6:08 PM.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, Jenna, I'm just readmitting the people from the waiting room.
Okay.
So if you want to give me 1 minute. Okay, Jenna, everyone from the waiting room is back into the meeting.
Perfect. All right, I want to call up Joe Spacek. Want to address the council? How are you, Joe?
Hi, Joe.
Hello, my mask a little bit. Jenna, hi, I know John, of course, Mayor Davis. I am Joe Pasek. I am on the board of directors of the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 77, here in the city of Tonawanda on Main Street. And I'm also a chairman of a ambitious project we're hoping to do next year. And I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, are familiar with the Vietnam Veterans Wall in Washington, D.C. You've been in D.C., I'm sure you've been there to see it. There are traveling replicas of this wall throughout the country. There's actually 4 of them. And the wall that we're hoping to bring to Western New York, specifically the city of Tonawanda, is called the Wall That Heals. Now, if I can approach you, give out literature, and you can look at this.
Careful, I don't want you to trip.
Yeah, don't trip.
Grab
We
him.
can meet you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sean.
You don't need to get, you gave me.
I got extra ones. I got extra.
We'll give one down to Jim.
Hey, Don, if you can mention to Tom to move in just a hair. Have Tom move over a little. There you go.
Better?
I'm running out of desk.
Bump it over to mine. On wheels. There you go.
Okay, as I was saying, this wall is different from the other traveling walls because it has features which are unique to this attraction. The trailer, a 52-foot trailer that hauls the panels which assemble into the wall, is also an educational center. That brochure I handed out will indicate. On the outside, after the wall is assembled, on the outside of the trailer, there are TV monitors. And there are 3 of them. The first one is the whole history of the Vietnam War, beginning to end, all the significant battles, all the events that transpired during that war. The second monitor shows the faces and the names and pertinent information of the Vietnam veterans of Western New York who were killed in Vietnam and had their names on the wall. The third monitor is, as we all know, after the war, many of us Vietnam veterans came home, and many of us died from Agent Orange and PTSD. The families will be notified in advance that we have this wall coming to Tonawanda, that they can submit their faces and pertinent information so visitors can come and see who else passed away due to this more. As the name indicates, the wall that heals, we're hoping that this is going to give healing to the families whose names of relatives are on the wall. Many families have never been to DC or have seen any of the traveling walls. It's going to be a very somber and moving experience. The way it goes about is the traveling day for this event is on a Tuesday. It's the traveling day. We'll arrive here sometime on a Tuesday. And Wednesday is the day that the wall is assembled. There's orientation for the volunteers. We're going to help with the etching of the names on the wall and give out information to visitors. And we're going to have ceremonies for each of the 4 days that this wall, hopefully, is going to be here in a month. Mayor Davis has agreed. I've talked to him already. He's agreed that we're allowed to do this event. We'll have it at behind the helicopter monument on Niagara Street in that ball field that hasn't been used in a long time. The wall is longer than a football field. And that would be large enough to accommodate it. We would, like I said, have guest speakers for each of the days. We had some prominent names tentatively to speak at each of these events. The problem we're having is, and it's nothing we can do about it, the coronavirus has really put a halt to this business. They started in 2000 in February. They started down south in Florida. They did the 5 different communities. And then in March, when everything hit the fan, they put a stop to it. And they suspended it until July. Things seemed to be getting a little bit better, and they were in Pennsylvania in February. And they started it up again for a 4-day visit, and the amount of attendance was unbelievable. I talked to the woman program manager in Alexandria, Virginia. She said they just could not keep social distancing. They had to cancel it for the remainder of the year. So now we applied for, Chapter 77 has applied for 2021. And the program manager informed me that all these cities that have been canceled for this year have first shot for next year. They usually try and do about 35 or 36 visits per year. And she indicated that some of the cities have already informed her that they can't do it for next year. The application went in. There was 2 cities in New York State. One was in Champaign, New York, and one was in Middletown, because our eastern side of New York State. And there's, for 2021, 2 new cities in New York State have applied, and so there's a county, Western New York, there's a total of 5. And the determination of who gets visited is based on, first of all, that wall has been in that area before. This one has not been to Western New York. Other traveling walls, recently Niagara Falls had one in Hyde Park in 2018. But like I said earlier, it's different from the wall that heals. I have a committee at the Vietnam Veterans chapter, and we had these pledge forms circulating in Western New York. Obviously, it's up to the individual. We're not twisting nobody's arm. We have some businesses and companies that have indicated they're strong supporters of veterans. And the woman I spoke to in Virginia said all the visits, they've done over 600 visits, not one city has had difficulty raising the $10,000. What I'm asking from the city, which I know I have support from Mayor Davis, if we are selected, we'll find out in November that Western New York has been chosen.
you do your part to let the community know this is going to be a major event that has always attracted thousands of people. I read about small towns in Wisconsin last year with more people visiting the attraction than the people who lived in that area. And I would think this would be good economically to some of the businesses here in Tonawanda and local areas. And just for your information, I think if you want to know the names of the 4 city residents whose names are on the wall, they are Burton Dalkey, Ronald Sadler, James Serini, and Mark Vanderbeek. That's officially from the city of Tonawanda. Like I said, there's 12 from Kenmore, 16 from the town, 6 from Grand Island, and 11 from North Carolina. But basically, that's it. I have left the pledge forms for people who are interested at the city clerk's office. And my phone number's on the back of the pledge forms, my email. If you have any questions, please contact me. As soon as we find out which will be around Veterans Day in November, I'll pass the word on.
Is there a cost to the residents who want to attend this? Or
No, everything is free, that's no question. Everything, there's no cost at all. It's open 24 hours a day. Yeah, 24 hours a day. I understand the organization, and they're the same people who take care of the wall that heals, are the same people that take care of the one in Washington, D.C. And they will have donations, cans, if people want to make donations, but there's no cost at all.
And if let's say, the city raises more money than is needed to bring, is that then given to them as a donation?
I'm not asking the city to raise money.
Well, the pledges, I mean.
Oh, the budget?
Yeah.
There's going to be additional expenses, I think, but we're not going to keep the money at the chapter. It will go to the organization because it's a nonprofit. And talking to the project woman in Alexandria, because they had to cancel business this year, they're hurting for money. And we would, I'm sure, give them the any excess in the rates.
I think this is fantastic. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Again, I appreciate the opportunity to address the council.
Any other comments or questions?
Thank you, Mr. Pasek.
I think I can speak on behalf of the council that you have our full support with this. So just to recap, if any residents are interested, we have forms in the city clerk's office, and they can return them to the city clerk, right? Or mail them.
Jenna, I have on the pledge forms and mailing address, chapter 77, be easier, they just mail to us. Obviously, I indicated no money should be included with the pledge. They would be notified one way or another if we're selected.
Okay.
But we hate to accept money now and find out if we're not going to be selected, then we have to return the money.
Any other questions? Thanks so much for coming to talk to us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
time and
Thank you.
attention.
All right, let's go around the room. Mr. Newman?
I have nothing, Madam President.
Ms. Cameron?
I have a couple of things just to bring you guys up to date with the LDC. We met this past Tuesday. They are going to go ahead with the rezoning. We will be getting an email from Mr. Knight with a map of where he anticipates the rezoning to take place, along with everything that's going to be needed for the publication. They've also changed their meeting times to the second Tuesday of the month at 5 p.m. downstairs in the community room. If anybody wants to, join us. The reason for that was because we don't have access after 4:30 to get into City Hall. So we had to accommodate that. Traffic and safety, we still don't have a date yet as to when we are going to be meeting. My concern is, and I don't know if any of you have had the chance yet to come over the Seymour Bridge into Tonawanda. The right turn lane now is right turn only. However, You sit at that light, it's happened to me numerous times within the last 2 weeks, 3 times, maybe 4 times, trying to go straight when somebody's trying to make a left-hand turn. So I'm going to bring it to the traffic and safety's attention that maybe we need to have a arrow put in there or a timer set in. So like we have on Delaware, Young Street area, so that, you know, one side goes first, to eliminate that problem. That's all I have, Madam President.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Cameron. And Sean, or Mr. Armstrong?
I have nothing this week. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. Mr. Reynolds?
Thank you. Did you want me to go back over the updates from Park Mobile?
Perfect.
Okay, so I sent out another email to Park Mobile today, or not today, earlier in the week, saying that, you know, there seemed to be quite a bit of interest and we'd like to take the next steps. His response to me was the next steps are basically getting the contract ready. So I said that I would have to check and see who that should all go to begin with, whether it's I'm sure it's gonna be a collaborative effort between the attorney, the mayor's office, and us. But the issue on the table that I wanted to impress upon everybody is that 35-cent fee that is their user fee. So there's no way around charging that because that's their cost. So I think we need to come up with some ways to either waive that fee for the residents or have them pay it but get something back for it. So I'm kind of looking for some more ideas because I really don't want this to affect the residents in any way to have to pay to go down there. I saw some interesting parking scaling prices the other day, like 30 minutes to an hour, 30 to 60 minutes was like $3. And then it kind of went up from there to full day was like $8 or $9 for the full day. So I think if we can look into that as well, I think we would be off and running and have a little bit more revenue coming in. At least it could take care of maintaining the park down there. I know we're not going to, you know, be building skyscrapers with this, but every little bit to maintain the park, to maintain the driveways, to maintain the docks will help us. So, and I sent out an email asking him for promotional material about, you know, a similar sized city, how much are they generating in revenue with, you know, similar parking, and he's on vacation. So I didn't get it back. As soon as I do get that information, I will forward it to the rest of the council.
Now, I know it's been some time since we had them in.
Yep.
Do you think it might be burden of us to invite them to an upcoming council meeting?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, to get him to come in and at least maybe start the contract process rolling, go from there.
Mr. Mylum, would this also entail maybe putting a kiosk for the boat docks?
So that we can scale, the parking is like ground level, right? We can scale up any way we want. If we wanted to put a kiosk in for folks who don't have a smartphone, we can do that. If we wanted to put a kiosk in at some time that, you know, if you're gonna dock your boat or park, you know, launch your boat, whatever, we can scale it up. Which I think is a good idea because, you know, when you think about it, and those docks get used quite heavily by a lot of people, and the rest of the taxpayers are basically subsidizing that, the upkeep of that. So that would help, you know, the people that are using it pay for it.
So would that eliminate the clerk from issuing the permits for boat docks?
I don't know. I don't know that. We would have to discuss how we want to proceed with that, you know.
How do you operate that?
And if that's the
I mean, it
case-
could be the same thing. If you're a resident, use it,
Right,
right?
right.
But outside of a city resident would maybe have to have a permit or something. And then maybe you don't pay to dock or launch.
So, I mean, if you want to reach out to them, invite them to an upcoming council meeting.
Yep.
And hopefully they'll have the literature and, you know, ask questions, get feedback. I think I can speak on the mayor's behalf too, but when we talked about this like 4 or 5 years ago, I mean, it would take a lot for us to get sold on that. So I'm very intrigued and interested, especially if there's no cost to our city residents, like I said, 35 cents.
Right.
I mean, perhaps we can get creative and group it into like, Fuller Pool Pass or something to that effect, so.
Correct. Yeah, almost like a resident pass where your child can use Kohler Pool with this pass, but you get parking. Maybe you pay the 35 cents, but you get $10 off of a shelter rental, something to give back, so that cost is offset.
Just work on.
Something in that vein.
Here's the 35 cents, that's a transaction fee, so if I am a resident and it was free, I go in, I check in on the app, but because I'm checking in the app and running my card through, running my app through, you're charged 35 cents. Would there be a simple enough answer of, issuing a car pass so they're not?
That would be
taking it
something
for-
that we would have to ask.
Right,
Yeah.
and is that any less or more expensive than a 35-cent transaction?
Right.
Start thinking about it too.
Sure. And that would all be questions that we would need to ask them, I know he said that a lot of the software that they run on shakes hands with a lot of the police car scanners. So for enforcement, it wouldn't have to be like a parking police officer. They could drive down and then everybody would be uploaded into the system by license plate. So if they drive down and it pops up, Amherst, Grand Island, Buffalo, those are the three cars that you're going to obviously look to make sure they paid, because everybody else is a resident. So it's more of a, elimination type of thing.
Right.
So next steps, if you just want to coordinate with Jim, next.
Yep, I'll see what I can do and get a hold of them and see how quickly we can go
I have a
forward.
question though. Is there any reason we would have to entertain the ordinance change because we would be charged for parking? That's something we have to look into.
I don't know. An ordinance change,
Oh, yes.
yeah,
Sorry, I didn't hear your question, but yes, that would require an ordinance change.
yeah, so it's not just flipping the switch. There's more bureaucracy behind it, but yeah.
And is there any control or any consideration for, on Adams Street in those general areas? Any kind of workarounds on that? Or
I mean, I think we could wait and see.
Okay.
If it starts to become a problem, then take care of it.
Sure.
But I think a lot of people, the choice between paying $2 and walking 3 blocks, they're going to pay the $2.
I don't disagree.
I would. I'd pay
Yeah.
$5 not to walk a block. So
I dropped that $5 every time I go to the gallery.
in a heartbeat. So, it's just the nature of how that would play out. And then I think that's all I have. We're not going to talk anymore about the other resident. Okay, that's all I have.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, couple things. We received an email from our city clerk, about, snowplow permits. All right, I'll be the one that starts talking about snow, but, he had emailed us a copy of the resolution that, we adopted in 2017. And he has a recommendation, to increase the insurance amounts, the liability and the auto liability, both to 500,000. It's currently set at 300,000. If we are in agreement, he needs to publish that for us to vote on September 15th. And usually the first week in October is when they start to get the permits for the snowplow. Is everybody on board with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
See why it wouldn't.
Okay.
That would be good.
Jim, you can go ahead and publish that.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing, I spoke to the mayor and our city treasurer, and I kind of want to turn it over to Bill to just talk about the importance of our residents completing the census, and just for us to have that discussion. So I'll start with you, Bill.
Thank you, Council President. It's been stressed, and it's very important with the budget process, and I know the mayor and the council have been pushing this, but we have two very large revenue sources that we have in our budget. Our share of our Erie County sales tax and our state aid, and both are called per capita revenue. And that per capita generally means literally that it's based on the census. So the sales tax is a sharing portion in addition, but it's portioned out based on how many people we have in our census for the 10-year period. So whatever our census ends up with at the end of this year, we're stuck with that for 10 more years. So we've been very level on our state aid because we haven't had our population change, and the formulation for state aid has been very consistent. The sales tax has been rising until this year, but again, it's because the sales tax in general is rising, and then our share of it stays the same, but we've been getting more of a larger pie. So if we miss a couple hundred people, that equates to a significant amount of money that stays with us for 10 years. We don't get to fix that until the next census in 2030. So it's very important that people do that. I know they might think that they're gonna end up on jury duty or something. That's not the case. We really need, especially now with more single family homes and fewer children in the schools, we need to count everybody to make sure that our per capita stays even. Even if our population stays the same, if all the other towns have grown, we drop back. So we have to make sure that everybody gets counted to make sure that we get our fair share when they do the splitting of what funds they do have to give out. And that's back to you.
Mayor, do you know what percentage of our community has completed the census?
About 75%. There's, need that another 25, give or take, to kind of chime in. It takes less than 5 minutes, honestly. And if you go to my2020census.gov, it takes less than 5 minutes, and you're done. And you don't have to worry about somebody coming knocking on your door, or and just to piggyback on Bill said, I mean, our school funding also is tied into our population as well. So, and I know it gets, government asking for money. I know that that's a sore subject and something that gets beaten over the head. But I mean, this is aid that we should be getting to help deal with infrastructure projects in our schools, with educating our youth. And if we're not having people fill out the census properly or not get back, then it's the rest of us in the city that are having to make up for that shortfall. So, it's a lot easier to get money out of a bigger bucket, bigger pond than the one the city currently has access to. So, I would implore everybody just to take 5 minutes and fill out the survey.
When is the last day for that?
Technically, it's supposed to be the end of the year. The president has indicated that he wanted to cut that back a month, and now there's some legal wrangling going on of whether or not it's lawful or not. So I would say, residents fill it out sooner than that.
Just go do it, yeah.
So don't wait.
Yeah.
So I think it might be a good idea if we can, kind of advertise this on our social media sites, just with the importance of, filling out your 2020 census, if we could just blast this out. And there's no way to get a report of what areas, the 25% that haven't completed it, right? It's all based on, okay. So, if we can just do our part to get that information out there, that might be healthy. And then, Mayor, do you get periodic reports if?
Yeah, I'll get an update from the county. The county gets the reports for the entirety of Western New York, and then those are sent to us. And if you go on my mayor Facebook page, and I think I posted something the other day about census, and it shows a breakdown for each municipality in the county as far as where they stand versus where they should be as far as census county. So, you know, feel free to share that or to share County Executive Paul Travis's Facebook post as well.
So it's extremely important that, you know, our community does our part to complete the census. Does anybody have any questions on that piece?
I have a question. Now, I've heard some rumblings about them going door to door. Is there any specific identification we're supposed to be wearing? People who are going door to door for the public to be aware of who might be census, who might not be census?
Yeah, so anybody that's walking around doing a census review at that house, they probably will be wearing a U.S. government census shirt and an ID badge of some sort. And it is my understanding that anytime anybody answers the door, they state who their name is or what their name is, who they're with, and they display the badge so the person can see it. As always, I'm sure there's somebody out there that's looking to scam people on things, and it wouldn't surprise me if somebody going around trying to make money off of this. But all census people have an ID badge that clearly that states that they're you know, a census taker, and they're working for federal government. And if any residents have any questions, you know, somebody shows certainly, I mean, please feel free to call the police. Check it out anytime. You know, better be safe than sorry, but every one of them should be displaying identification, clearly stating because of the census.
Thank you, sir.
Two other things, in your folders here, we have the 2019 annual report from our county clerk. I believe everybody received a copy of that. And then our city clerk will enter that for our next agenda as a correspondence. And then you also have the financial statements for our year-end, December 31st, 2019. So is there anything on here other than the draft report that we might want to make mention of?
You're on mute, Bill.
All right, no, it's exactly the same as the draft report. We just had to sign off that there were no changes material up through the point that they reviewed the draft statement. So the mayor signed that, I signed that we had no additional information, and then they issued the final draft. So it's exactly what Matt spoke about when he was in talking to the council.
All right, does anybody have anything else before we go out on the floor? All right, then let's take a little break, a little commercial break, and we'll come back at 7.
Okay, I'm letting everyone in from the waiting room.
All right, perfect.
I gotta get up.
Okay, Jen, everyone's in from the waiting room.
Can you just make sure that everyone's muted?
Everyone is muted.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. Let's call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Newman,
Here.
Hammerdiner,
Here.
Armstrong,
Here.
Newman, I'm sorry, Mylum,
Here.
Cook.
Here, please stand for the pledge.
Tom's really here.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stand. This prayer is provided by Associate Chaplain Tim Newman. Heavenly Father, Lord of creation, maker of heaven and earth, We thank you, Lord, for your love, for your blessings and guidance upon this community. We ask you tonight, Lord, to continue to shower us with those blessings, to guide our city leaders, city employees, and our citizens to do the right thing. We ask for wisdom as decisions are made, laws are written, and laws are enforced. Emergencies are mediated, and our community is protected from crime. Give us wisdom and strength as we serve you by giving back to this community. Bless this council meeting tonight, and may we glorify you in all that we do. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. All right, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you for joining us on Zoom. I'm now going to turn it over to the mayor for the public hearing regarding the local law 2, 2020, the property tax levy.
Thank you, Madam President. So everybody knows the first step in the process is the council has to adopt a resolution to allow the city to receive the tax cap for the year 2021. That notice has to be published in a newspaper, and there needs to be a public hearing and on the local law to exceed the tax cap. And I am tasked with the responsibility to have that public hearing on the local law number 2 to exceed the property tax cap for the year 2021. The next step in this process is the next meeting, the council will formally vote either to approve or decline the overriding of the tax cap. So with that in mind, I'll open it up to any questions from the public on the local law.
Actually, I have a question here. The tax cap is what percentage?
1.5%.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any questions from the public on local law number 2? Any questions from the public on local law number 2? Okay, I declare this public hearing closed. Thank you.
Madam President. Thank you, Mayor. Communications from the mayor have been ordered and filed. Communications from city officials and correspondents have also been ordered and filed. We are not going into executive session. So at this time, we'll now take comments by the public. Comments or questions by the public on the resolutions. If anyone in the audience would like to speak on the resolutions, please state your name and address, and same for our Zoom participants.
Jen, I have no one indicating any comments from the Zoom meeting.
Okay. If any resident would like to ask a question or make a comment on the resolutions, I believe there is an indication on your Zoom that you can ask a question. Please do so now. And last call. Any comments or questions on the resolutions? All right, Jim, let's roll.
Okay, resolution number 1 by the council, seconded by the council.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum.
Aye.
Cook.
Aye, declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 2 by Councilmember Newman.
Do you have a second? I'll second. Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 3 by Councilmember Cameron.
Do you have a second?
I'll second, Madam President.
Second by Mr. Newman. Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 4 by the council, seconded by the council.
Comments or questions? Comment or question? This is not a matching grant, correct, Mayor?
That would be correct.
Okay. Can you just kind of give a brief summary of how this came about?
Yeah, so, back at the beginning of the year, Ken Berlinski reached out to me from a Sullivan Martin Surgeon's office and indicated that there may be some money available, state grant for any improvements to any of the buildings. And kind of indicated to him that, you know, we could use some new windows. I believe they are the original windows from back in the 60s, and stay with the HVAC unit. And then COVID hit, and everything was kind of lost in the shuffle. And a few weeks ago, he reached out to me and indicated that the money was still available in the budget if we wanted to move forward. So therefore, that's why I asked the council for a resolution to move forward with the grant, and the grant will cover the total cost of improvements to City Hall. Should be zero money comes from the city for this project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron Danner,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye.
Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted.
Resolution number 5 by Councilmember Rautenstrau.
Do we have a second?
I'll take it, Madam President.
Second by Mrs. Cameron. Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Newman,
Aye.
Cameron Danner,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum, Cook.
I declare the resolution adopted. We'll now take comment by the public following the resolutions. Please state your name. If anyone in the gallery would like to speak, the floor is yours. If any of our Zoom participants would like to speak, there is an option for you to indicate ask a question or something to that effect. Just please identify yourself so the clerk can let us know. We'll now take comments by the public following our resolutions. Mr. Clerk, do you have anybody who wishes to speak?
Madam President, I don't have anyone indicated in the Zoom meeting that they wanted to speak on any items.
Let's do a last call. Comments following the resolutions. All right, Mr. Newman.
I would like to congratulate Amanda Butcher for being our newest member of our police department. Welcome aboard. And I just want to wish everybody a safe and healthy Labor Day weekend. That's all I have, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Ms. Cameron.
Thank you, Madam President. First off, I'd like to remind people starting October 1st, you will not be allowed to park overnight from 2 to 6. Hate to be that person, but now we have to start thinking about it. The other thing I would like to mention is I know that 2020 has not been very easy with events in the city of Tonawanda, but I would like to say kudos to the Garden Walk and Porch Fest for their successful season that they just had over the weekend. The other one that I wanted to mention real quick was the City of Tonawanda Neighborhood United, which organized its first annual citywide garage sale this past Saturday, which was a tremendous success. So I look forward to seeing that. Also coming up real quick, the Tonawanda Erie Canal Gateway Lions Club will be at Advanced Auto Parts this Saturday doing a parking lot barbecue, which will also have hot dogs and burgers and a cold drink. Stop by from 11 to 3:30. They are also looking to possibly collect gently used shoes and glasses and hearing aids so that they can pass those on to the needy. With that being said, I'd like to wish everybody a happy and safe Labor Day weekend as well. Thank you, Madam President.
Ms. Cameron and Mr. Roustroff.
I have nothing to report this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roustroff. Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, first I would like to congratulate Amanda Butcher as well. I know she'll be a great addition to the department. As a participant in the citywide garage sale, I couldn't be happier for the success that we had. My garage is much cleaner and so is my basement now. But to the organizers, that was a huge task to undertake and a job very, very well done. Next, I'd like to thank Mandy at the Parks Department. I think what she did for this city kind of got swept under the rug with a lot of things going on. The trimming that has taken place around the city looks very good. I had a couple residents complain or notify me that some of the vines had overgrown so much that it had turned into almost a blind spots on a couple corners. And within, I think, a day of the request, it was cut down. Second, I'd also like to extend another thank you to Mandy, because the Parks Department made huge budgetary cuts to assist us in stopping the bleeding, budget bleeding throughout that was brought upon us by COVID. We wouldn't be in the position that we are in had she not made these cuts. So I wanted to make sure that she was recognized for what she had done with her budget. Second, I'd like to address the special permit that we passed this evening concerning the rally at the Hub next Saturday. I'm happy that so many people have taken an interest in the governance and are exercising their constitutional rights. No matter what side of the coin you're on, the rights apply to you, and our Constitution guarantees this. Quite concerned, however, that these rallies have often become outlets for violence, racism, and hatred and that this will occur on what should be a solemn memorial weekend for the victims of 9/11. I'd like to remind the residents of the unity that we felt as a nation after the attacks of 9/11 when they occurred. We were totally unified as a nation. It didn't matter who you were, what you identified as, party lines were forgotten, and we looked upon each other simply as Americans who were all grieving together. Upon the weekend of the 12th, our nation will be closing in on mourning the loss of 200,000 Americans. That's the equivalent of 7,000 9/11s. The weekend of the 12th, there will be a Support the Blue and President rally taking place at the Hub. While supporting the police and the president have absolutely nothing to do with each other, I would urge the participants to remember these words. Be thankful for the professional and duty-bound police department that we have here in the city. Our police department routinely goes above and beyond for every resident in the city, no matter the person's background or creed. And I'd also like to remind any participant that we are a country that is hurting and very nearly broken. To remember that we're all Americans regardless of party. We are all Tonawanda residents regardless of who we are voting for. And we're all humans who just want the same thing, a peaceful place to call home, to live our best lives and get along with one another. Please concentrate on things that make us the same and in turn bond us as citizens of this great nation. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Nyland. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam President. First day of school is approaching. Just like to wish good luck, Godspeed, and good health to all the students and our educators as they head back to school. I think this year is going to be even more trying than last year was. So good luck to everybody. Everybody's noticed the flurry of activity around Spalding. We should be closing soon on that property with Milton Camp, and I'm sure we will have a nice little ceremony there in the near future, kind of commemorating things and picking things up. I'd like to thank our visual and performing arts for their work with the Garden Walk and Porch Fest. We had a lot of people come to my house for the Garden Walk, and it was nice to be able to see the steady stream of people and give people a reason to get out of their homes. And just about everybody that I saw was wearing a mask that came to my house. And same with Porch Fest, just about everybody was wearing a mask, doing the best to try to follow proper social distancing, and it was nice to see. We kind of touched on this during the informal, but we still have about approximately 25% of our city residents that haven't filled out census form. I would implore everybody to take the 5 minutes that it takes to fill out the survey at my2020census.gov and make sure that our city and our schools get the proper state and federal funding that we deserve for our populations. Playground, thanks to urban initiatives from legislator Hardwick, is now open down at 911 Park, the western section. We're looking to hopefully over the next few years kind of add to that footprint to provide a little bit more ADA access for children that normally would not be able to enjoy playgrounds. There are some instruments around the lower ring of the current playground that allows children to give them some joy and playing outside and playing down by the river. Again, I would just like to thank Legislator Hardwick for the urban initiatives. And lastly, I'd like to thank Amanda. I'd like to extend an appreciation and welcome Amanda Butcher to our board. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mayor. Likewise, I want to congratulate and wish all the best to Amanda Butcher on her recent swearing in and joining our police force. I wish her a safe and successful career. I sound like a broken record, but shout out to all the organizers for the Garden Walk and the Porch Fest. And I also want to thank Chief Stewart and Councilmember Newman on the eve of Porch Fest. It was brought to our attention that we can certainly use some cones at Clinton Park. And I called our fire liaison to try to connect with Chief Stewart to have emergency management deliver those. And I'm happy to report that they did that. So thanks, Chief and Councilmember Newman, for securing that on such short notice. I think the Chief actually played on Porch Fest. So thanks again to all the organizers. I know it's been said to please complete your census. If there's anything that you can take from tonight's meeting, it's if you have not already, please complete your census. And I would be remiss if I didn't make mention, it's pretty difficult. We have a local paper that gets delivered to our homes once a week. A lot of us rely on social media to get our messages out, whether that be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. However, many of us up here have both private and public pages, and there are several community pages that also we utilize as a resource just to get our message out. I was pretty saddened to learn that one of our community pages archived last week as a result of some bullying and harassing comments that were on that page. And I just want to caution, it's our main job up here to do what we can to, provide updates and be as transparent as we can and do the best we can to inform you on what's happening in our community. And sometimes with limited print and social media out there, we do the best job that we can. So if we could all just be kind to each other, I think that would go a long way. With that said, don't forget to complete your 2020 census, and I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Adam. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, have a great night, everybody.
That concludes the Zoom call. I will be ending the meeting now. Thank you.
And then I hear what he said.